Unfortunately, the league's players suffer numerous season-ending injuries every year, and this year has been no different. At about the midway point, we are unfortunately already having a lengthy list of players we may not see again this season, and so let's look at that list and look forward to when we could potentially see them back on an NBA basketball court. Starting off the list is Kawhi Leonard, an injury from last year. He is out until at least March 1st on a knee injury. It's hard to say with Kawhi whether he'll be back or not. It's always hard to say when a timetable for anything with Kawhi is going to be. Just the nature of Kawhi. But given the fact that Paul George is now potentially out for the remainder of the year, it is quite possible we see Kawhi rested for the remainder of the season, and he may not be back until next year. And as mentioned, Paul George, now out with an elbow injury, has a bit of an unknown timetable, and there have been conversations for the last few days that he could be kept out for the remainder of the season, partly just for rehab and for rest, but I'm sure part of it might just be because the Clippers, who I will have either already made or will be making a video on by the time this video goes live, we're in a bit of a scenario now where without Kawhi and without Paul George, probably aren't going to be in the playoffs and might just get themselves a lottery pick and retool a bit for next season. Damian Lillard has an abdominal injury. He is going to get surgery. That is going to keep him out for about the next 6 weeks. And so whether he is going to be out for the entire season remains unclear now, given how his rehab goes, how he recovers from surgery, and where Portland are in the standings. I mean, Portland have not been good this year. They're not exactly pushing for a title. So it's not a bad idea as far as I'm concerned to let Dame rest, sit, recover, give Portland a good pick in this year's draft, retool a little bit, make a few moves at the deadline, and potentially be a better team and a better surrounded group around Damian Lillard next season. One of the more unfortunate ones on this list, and the guy who's been out for the longest on this list, is Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac's timetable has him back by no earlier than February 5th, but there's no guarantee that's going to happen. We still haven't seen him in now since the 1920 season, which is an absurdly long recovery and rehab time for the lower body injury he sustained. And it's still a little bit unclear when he's going to be coming back. It sounded like he might be back by the start of this year, and then maybe a little bit sooner, maybe in November or December, and here we are. He's still not back, and I'd love to see him back in a basketball court. Orlando invested heavily in him financially. As of right now, he is still out with an injury. Michael Porter Jr. is one of the more unfortunate injuries on this list as well, as he is currently out with a back injury for the season. This is someone who has a history of back injuries through high school, college, and now in the NBA as well. I hope he can get back healthy and Denver don't end up giving him a bunch of money and then he continues to have back problems. But as of right now, he's going to be out for the season. His teammate in Denver, Jamal Murray, is also someone who we could potentially not see return for this upcoming season. He's probably one of the more likely guys on this list to come back this year. It looks like Denver are interested in bringing him back if he is ready to go for the playoff start. I'm personally of the case where Denver aren't winning the title this year without Michael Porter Jr. as far as I'm concerned, even with Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon. Just let him rest, do his thing, recover, get that extra bit of rehab time, and bring him back next year. But apparently he might be ready to go come March, and maybe him and Nikola Jokic can get something going for Denver in the playoffs. One of the more unsure timetables on this list, Diane Williamson. His latest update would have him back sometime in and around late February, if I'm not mistaken. But who really knows at this point? I mean, headed into media day, we thought there was no concerns about Zion's health, and then we found out he had an injury, and then it's going to be a few weeks, and now it's turned into a few months. So who knows with the physical shape of Zion and the amazing, wonderful world of the Pelicans and their medical staff that has changed, but apparently doesn't really seem to be any bit better right now with the Zion situation. So who knows when we'll see him. He may not be back on a basketball court until next year. Unfortunately, Ricky Rubio and Colin Sexton have both gone out with knee injuries for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Ricky Rubio having arguably the best season of his career, playing a very good six-man role for this Cleveland Cavaliers team. We'll see him out. And Colin Sexton in a contract year. Hate to see guys get injured in contract years. Colin Sexton is probably going to get a bit impacted in terms of his contract now because of this, but hopefully he can come back well in his fifth season next year. Solomon Hill, who was recently traded to the New York Knicks, is now going to be out for the season with a hamstring injury. Not a significant piece, but still someone who can provide you a bit of depth and some good wing defense and a bit of spacing. Savvy veteran, and I'm sure the Knicks or the Hawks, had he stayed on the Hawks, would have liked to have a bit of impact from him this season. Patrick Williams, someone I've kind of forgotten about a little bit from being an injured player personally, but he has been missed by the Chicago Bulls, especially now with Derrick Jones Jr. out. Their wing depth is a problem. It's possible we see him back for the playoffs, assuming the Bulls do get there, which looks quite likely, and assuming that Patrick Williams' rehab does go well. But regular season recovery, back end of the regular season potential, but not likely. PJ Dozier, unfortunately, joins a heavy list, a Denver Nuggets dominated list here, as he also has a knee injury and is also out for the season. And I want to highlight now the one non-injury player on this list. That's John Wall. If you want to hear my thoughts in more depth on the John Wall situation, be sure to click the card in the top right of your screen. But Houston won't play him. John Wall wants to play, and he's not playing, and so it doesn't seem likely right now like he's going to be on an NBA court in uniform for the rest of the season. Brook Lopez is still out with a back injury. His timeline is a little bit unclear. Bobby Portis continues to play well in his absence, but Brook Lopez played the first game of the year, hasn't played since, and he may not be back anytime soon, unfortunately. To finish off this list, we have a pair of Phoenix Suns big men. Dario Saric, knee injury last year, may be back in around playoff time, but as of right now, even then, there's no guarantee that he would even get into the Suns rotation. I would advocate that he probably wouldn't at this point in time, so it's very possible we won't see him on an NBA court again this season. And Frank Kaminsky is also out with a knee injury and likely out for the season. And the Suns have now added JaVale McGee, of course, in the summer, and now Bismack Biyombo. So they've added their depth. Saric and Kaminsky are going to have their time to rest and rehab, and likely won't see them for the Suns or in general on an NBA court until next season. Hopefully all these players' rehabs can go well, and there are not many more players to add to this list by the end of the season, but we can all look forward to seeing these guys back on an NBA court next year, hopefully. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video and want more NBA content like this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.